Hello and welcome once again to Crazy Comics and Stories. It's me, your charming and delightful old Uncle Rat Bastard. And at the other end of the series of tubes and wires that we call the internets is Joe, Crazy Writer. How you doing today, Joe?
Wait a minute. Weren't we just in a car 12 hours ago?
I think we were in that car for like 24 hours.
It could be. It could be. Folks, we're getting back from our free comic book day extravaganza, which normally we do in May, but Tim at Granite City was kind enough to wait until we he got all the books together, and so we gathered up Butch and a surprise special guest star who will remain nameless.
Yes.
And anyways, well, I'll talk about it when we get to geeking. I'll just mention the stores we visited and things like that. And anyways, we got it all on tape. I'm going to give advance kudos to Cory because I don't know how the hell you're going to make that into it's going to be a fill-in episode, just like our trips to Rochester, or until we take another geeking day, and then we will burn those episodes and make another fill-in. See how we work. See how the behind the scenes. It's almost like time travel. You're going to be absolutely mystified because you won't know what we did for our free comic book day celebration until I mess up. And I would just like to say in advance, I regret the error.
And probably the next time we will be getting together is the day after Thanksgiving.
Yep, Black Friday. I got it off already. We'll have some Black Friday sales. I would imagine Half Price Books will have their coupon sale going that week. So we'll gather up to see who wants to come hang with us and what kind of shenanigans we can get into again. Although when we get to geeking for this episode, I believe me, I got plenty of shenanigans going on. But that's just here comes the segue. That's just a preview of what's to come. I could do that better. Let me try that again.
Okay.
Oh, never mind. This is live. Let's just keep it going.
We're live, partner.
Oh, well, okay. All right. Now, as you
know,
on
the cover. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, as you know, this is our previews episode. We're looking at number 384, September 20. This is an interactive program, so as we go along, we will be giving you the page numbers, and then you can jump on board and see what it is we're all excited about out of the previews. And as usual, although nobody has yet to take us up on the offer, if we overlook something that you're absolutely gaga about and you want us to cover it, just drop us a quick line. All the information will be when we get to the sponsor stuff. So anyways, Cory, you were saying something about the cover? We're going to sing some covers?
I'm going to let you know the stuff that's on the cover of the previews this month. Let's see, on the front, the comic side is Stranger Things and Dungeons and Dragons,
which is something I was going to mention. It's on page 72 if you want to read about it. I'm not picking this up. If I do, it'll be later on as a trade. And if you're a fan of Stranger Things, you know that the kids are playing Dungeons and Dragons. So this is actually a pretty decent crossover. We'll see what they get into. I believe it's a 4-issue miniseries. So if you're so inclined, look at that. That's some pimp ass advertising right there on the cover. And hopefully Dark Horse or an IDW get that as some type of poster a comic store could put in a window, because you got Dungeons and Dragons, but Stranger Things is big. I mean, I remember talking with somebody when we were out geeking about it, and I think what it was is her boyfriend had never seen Stranger Things, and she said, "Oh, you got to see it." And I said, "I'll give you kudos for that one," because I agree with her. It's a good series. You can binge it. You can sit and watch it. I said, I'm from the 80s, so for me, it's like, oh God, video arcades and touch-tone telephones were so cool, So, anyways, that takes care of one of my how would you say reviews.
On the back,
yep,
is an image series called Crossover by Donny Cates,
which is on page 30, which is also another one of my my picks for the month. So,
And
shoot.
on the spine,
Ooh, I didn't even look on the spine. Whoa!
I always look on the spine. Marvel Select the Rampaging Hulk action figure because Previews sells advertising all over the place. That's why you're able to get this over 400-page catalog for $3.99, and a lot of comic shops give it away for either 99 cents or free, depending. You gave it away free if you were a subscriber, right?
Yeah, what I did is with the big shop, if you placed an order out of it, you got a new one next month, which always got dicey because there'd be guys who were, I mean, I wanted you to place an order. And a lot of these guys would, most of them would. Some would be like, I skipped it last month. I'll pick it up this month. And I'm like, well, that's fine, but what do I do? Do I give it to them free? And what if they come to me and say, well, I want to order this? And you're like, well, it's past the order date, whatever. At the little shop, I just gave you a deep discount on it. And anything that was left over, I would just throw on the freebie bin. And if it was there too long, I'd throw it in the recycle bin. Do you keep your own previews?
I do not.
They don't.
They're too big and they take up too much space.
I know every so often I have found old ones that I look through and it's kind of fun, but I just tossed out last 6 months. I was tempted to keep the one from when comics started up again, just because this is history in the making, folks. This whole pandemic and shutting everything down, knock on fake plastic. I hope it doesn't get repeated. But anyways, back to should we begin?
Sure.
As we always do, we were going to just go as the books arrive. Image is the first one, and of all the stuff Image is offering, crossover number 1, which Cory mentioned, is the only one I'm looking to pick up as a comic. And it's basically, imagine everything you thought was a fantasy was real, and now join us in a world where reality is dead and anything is possible. And what sold me again is they gave us 4 pages of previews, and the first thing you see is, well, that looks like Captain Marvel and Spider-Man and Atom. It's like, and Captain America. I'm like, wow, they're this guy's reading a comic book, and then something happens because stories, myth, legends, they are not fictions. They're a virus, and they are spreading. And it's just this looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. The art is very colorful, and it'll be kind of fun to see how many copyrighted characters they can sneak in there, and if they get away for it. They're eventually you're gonna. I'm kind of looking like you can see Spider-Man. I can tell it's Spider-Man. I can tell it's Captain Marvel, but you don't see the whole logo. There's not enough to really give away that, yes, I'm using your character, but there's nothing you can do about it. We've heard lawsuits for less, but let's hope this comes out because I'm really excited about this one.
One of the things I do want to point out, they will note on all of the number 1 books that it is what they call a no-risk number 1 title. What that means is no matter how many you order, they are returnable for number 1s. When Joe can talk and has talked in the past about how that's not as good a deal as you think, because you do still have to pay shipping both for the books coming to you and to send them back.
Well, I know what they did for a while is when they sent you, you order 5 copies and they'll send you 10. They would give you like a couple cents per copy, because what they do is they take your overall order, which could be thousands of copies of books, and so you're paying $60. So they divide it up. So per book, this is what you get. And then, like Cory said, you're probably just going to return the covers, but that's still postage and stuff, and then they charge you for it. So one day you'll be charged for these books that you sold or never returned. But as long as you have an opt-out, I think that would be a good workaround. But as a retailer, both with the small crazy comics and the bigger. I actually look forward to these because it allowed me to put stuff on the shelf and at least get a gauge for whether or not people cared or not. And you'll see that through some of Image's books. Even their, let's see, they're doing Kick-Ass vs. Hit Girl, which is a resolicitation. And even their Darkness #1 25th Anniversary Commemorative Edition, which I'm not getting, but that would allow me to, I could load up 10 of these on the shelf, see if anybody cares anymore about the Darkness. Maybe with Garth Ennis.
I thought it was a little weird that they're doing that for one of those facsimile editions, unless they're going to be starting a new Darkness series or something, because these are pretty much a specialty item.
On page 42, they're doing the Complete Darkness, Volume 1.
Yeah, they're doing
not only the trade paperback and the hardcover.
Yeah.
So maybe they are revving it up to bring the character back, or they're just making use of stuff they've already got that they can bang out a lot of.
Yep. Because that's one of the things when Dave Sim started with Cerebus, and then he started doing the phone books, and everybody was like, what? No one's done that.
Yeah.
Marvel had reprinted certain stories, DC had reprinted certain stories, but Dave Sim said, no, I'm going to keep monetizing this forever. And he has. So maybe because Image is creator-owned, and on this one it's a little messy because while Garth Ennis has some ownership, it's all owned by Mark Silvestri because it's part of his Top Cow universe, and yeah, it gets messy rights-wise. But yeah, here you go. We're monetizing the old stuff.
Speaking of which, if you look on page 50, and I'm going to probably say this a couple times during the broadcast, if Image, you do not send your retailer some type of poster of this, you're just whistling you're pissing in the wind. You're tugging on Superman's cape. You're pulling the mask of the old Lone Ranger, and you're messing around with Jim, because on page 50, 14 cult classics to curl up with this winter. I would love to have that as a display in my store, and I would have gone as far to even stock some of these underneath, just as, hey, winter reading. Of course, in Minnesota, it means more than maybe in Florida, but you know what I'm saying here. And they're listening.
Reading started 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Well, we got some pretty good weather back. We're in the 70s, and I was able to do a nice walkabout in my shorts.
Get used to it.
Yeah, I know. It's going to change in 2 days before this here podcast even drops. But anyways, it's some of the 14. They're listening Distant Soil by Colleen Doran, Dawn by Joseph Linsner, Morning Glories by Nick Spencer and Joe Eisma, I think. Nightly News by Jonathan Hickman.
Which is so good.
That was Hickman, first, nobody's ever heard of him.
That's the first book where I went, this is a guy to watch.
Yeah. And here's a Madman down below. So, yeah, this is a brilliant page. I mean, I could see me, and obviously they're going to retailer see order form for details. So there possibly is some special deal they're going on this, like maybe Cap City, and I think Diamond used to, or maybe both. They would allow us, when winter came, right before Christmas hit, they would allow us to order an X number amount off the Star System, which is their version of comics. I'm sorry, I said they're on graphic novels. And then at the end, sometime in January, I could return what didn't sell, and then they would charge me for it, which was a great way, and probably desperately needed now, for a shop to load up on stuff at no cost and then just pay for what they sell. And again, for books, yeah, that's a pain in the butt. I usually would do that and just load up on stuff, and I never returned anything anyways, because, Cory can attest, I was selling graphic novels like crazy by the time I sold the Hot Comics St. Paul. So, but maybe I'll give Tim a call and say, hey, what are the order form retailer discounts? We have an in. We can find out, or give. I can't think of his name down in Mind's Eye. Is that Tim as well?
I don't remember his name. I'm sorry. I'm bad with that.
I regret the error. Anything else from Image? Trip your trigger, Cory?
I just want to point out that Walking Dead is putting out issues 2 and 3 of their colorized version. They're calling it Deluxe. So it looks like that's going to be bi-weekly. And they've reprinted Walking Dead before, but this time it's in color. And I will be interested to see how long the reprints last, because this is being done so that they now have color trade paperbacks, and they'll be replacing the black and white trade paperbacks, I would imagine. Because there are some people, like our pal Pat, who just does not like black and white comics.
Black and white crap.
Nothing else for me. Now on to Dark Horse.
Dun, dun, dun. I already mentioned Stranger Things, Dungeons and Dragons. Again, a good crossover to get somebody that is into either one of those. On page 76 is a series, a 6-issue miniseries I'm on the fence about. And you know me, usually if it's a miniseries, I'll probably jump on it. Resident Alien, Your Ride's Here. 6-issue miniseries from Peter Hogan and Steve Parkhouse. Harry's learned a lot about himself and the possibility that other aliens have been stranded on Earth too. He needs to figure out what to do with Honey, the only resident in Patience, USA, who sees him in his true alien form, as well as deal with his feelings toward Astra, his best friend. Harry's been stranded in a small town pretending to be human doctor for so long, loneliness is bound to creep in. It says another mysterious chapter from a critically acclaimed comics team. And they give us a single page of art, which looks really good. Again, this is one of those, do I want to pick up as a series or just wait for the trade paperback? There's a lot of that going on. Next page is a new Witcher miniseries. If you don't know what it is, don't worry about it. Anything else catch your eye, Cory?
Page 89, Erie County Omnibus Volume 1. This will be 2 volumes, reprinting the entire series. It's by Cullen Bunn, drawn by Tyler Crook, Carla Speed McNeil, Hannah Lavender, and John Manley Lee. It's an Eisner-nominated horror fantasy tale collected in a value-priced omnibus. Emmy always knew that the woods surrounding the home were crawling with ghosts and monsters, but on the eve of her 18th birthday, she learns that she is connected to one of these creatures and to the land itself in a way she never imagined. I've heard good things about this, but I wasn't able to jump in on the beginning. And more, like I've said on the show, I would so much rather just buy the book.
Omnibus.
Get it all done.
You're done.
They're reprinting a really old book here from Mike Richardson and Bruce Zick. This has to be from the late 80s, early 90s. Atomic Legion. I remember it being okay. 228 pages. I'm interested in it. I'm going to have to go back and read some reviews to see if it was as good as it looks. And I also want to point out, while they aren't in the relist or anything like that, if you're interested in the Dark Horse Alien series and you don't want to have to buy the big $100 Marvel hardcovers, find those Aliens and Alien vs. Predator and Predator omnibuses that Dark Horse did, because as of the end of the year, they're not going to be able to sell them anymore.
Yep, Marvel.
You will be able to buy them if they're already in a shop somewhere, but Dark Horse, any of the ones that they still have in their warehouse, they have to pulp.
I shouldn't say Marvel, but Disney owns that now, so they're bringing them back, bringing them home. And we already know they're going to be showing up in Marvel. So.
Well, they've already announced the first Aliens omnibus.
Yep.
So there you go, kids.
You've been warned. That's it for me. I don't have anything else from Dark Horse.
Next up is IDW.
IDW. All right. Page 103, Lock and Key Sandman. Yes, the DC Sandman crossover. Hell and Gone #1. Joe Hill's writing it. Ooh, that should work good. Gabriel Rodriguez art. The epic crossover between two of the most beloved fantasy universe in comics begins here. John Jack Locke is 10 years dead, but that hasn't stopped him from passing the occasional letter home from hell. Now, Mary Locke will do anything to save her brother's soul. Her quest to rescue him from the pit will require her to outsmart Roderick Burgess, the most evil man in England, by the way, and puzzle her way through the House of Mystery and risk the walking nightmare known as the Corinthian in a disintegrating kingdom of dreams. What is this going to be? A 6-issue?
2-issue.
A 2-issue.
See, it says 1 of 2.
I don't know, but I wonder if they're going to do this in some type of paperback or hardcover, because that's how I have most of my Sandman universe.
Yeah,
and
same here. This is a 48-page book too.
Yeah, it's pretty big. So I'm excited for it, but I'm going to hold out that a trade will come our way.
Because you know it will.
Yeah. Let's see. On page 111 is another one of those series where I'm kind of like, it's Star Trek Voyager 7's Reckoning. After Voyager encounters a damaged alien ship deep in the Delta Quadrant, at what first seems to be a simple repair mission becomes much more complicated for 7 of 9 as she becomes involved in an ancient artifact that will put her newly found humanity to the test. If I buy this, it'll probably be I'll get the photo covers. Because anytime you give me a photo cover of Jerry Ryan as 7 of 9, I am all over that. I'm drooling already. On the other side is a couple books I was not aware of. I geeked about Star Trek The Next Generation Mirror Broken a while back. I did not realize there had been 2 follow-ups to that. So I will definitely be ordering these because I enjoyed the Mirror Broken, and I was surprised they never really came up again, but I was probably late to the party and didn't realize, they've been back twice. Why don't you catch up with us, Kray? Cory, can I guess you might be on page 135?
You can guess, and you would be right. I won't be buying this as a miniseries, though. The Comic Book History of Animation, it's another Fred Van Lente book, drawn by Ryan Dunleavy. They have done the Comic Book History of Comics and other history books. They started with Action Philosophers, one of my favorite comics of all time. This is a humorous but informative series about the history of animation. And Fred Van Lente has done quite a few of these. All of them have been excellent. I'm going to wait and get this as a book. But just a fantastic run of stuff they've done. The Comic Book History of Comics. If you're interested at all in comic book history, that's one of the must-haves anymore, because they really tell some great stories that you may not have heard elsewhere. They may be stories that I haven't even told.
And we all know we love it when Cory talks.
Well, you darn well better if you've been listening for 478 episodes.
And 10 years.
Yeah.
Back on page 130 under the Top Shelf Productions is a graphic novel called Parenthesis, A Triumph of Graphic Memoir. It narrates the author's experience, the author being Elodie Durand. It's her experience with tumor-related epilepsy, losing herself and finding herself again. Julie is barely out of her teens when a tumor begins pressing on her brain, ushering in a new world of seizures, memory gaps, and loss of self. Suddenly, the sentence of her normal life has been interrupted by the opening of a parenthesis that may never close. Am I saying that right? Yeah. It's based on real experience of cartoonist Elodie Durand, gripping testament of struggle, frugality, acceptance, and transformation. I can't say I enjoy books like this, but I do appreciate them because it gives me an insight on what it would be like to suffer from this. I think what started me down roads to books like this was Our Cancer Year by Brain Fart Picard?
Yeah, Harvey Picard.
Yeah, thank you. And for me, it's, I mean, again, knock on my fake plastic table here. God forbid any of us get cancer. But if we do, that book, Our Cancer, gives me an idea of what I might endure, especially if I have to go under chemotherapy with radiation treatments, because they elected to do the fast and get it over with rather than spread it out over time and do less dosage. Same thing back to this book, parenthesis. It's just one of those slice of life books that just fascinate me and I think can be done in comics so well. And kudos to the writer artist for sharing this, and of course Top Shelf for producing it. So yeah, this one is definitely on the to be read. See, comics don't always have to be goofy and weird. Sometimes they're deadly serious, and I appreciate that.
And then there's Marvel.
And then wait a minute, I always thought Dynamite comes first.
Well, if you're going through your previews right after IDW, you get the page for Marvel.
Yeah, because there are times I'm ready to go Marvels and go, wait a minute, we forgot about Dynamite. Okay, fine, Marvel.
Where they put it.
Yeah, and Marvel, of course, now you have to go to your Marvel supplement. And
and they have two covers as well, one for the Eternals and one for Venom number 30, which starts the Road to the King in Black.
Which is the big-ass Venom crossover that people are going giddy over. Cory, I don't know if you are reading Venom, but apparently issue number 3 is now the current hot comics on eBay.
Hot comic!
Like 2 months ago, it was $10. Now it's in the stratosphere. So something happened there.
It's the creation of the big bad guy for King in Black, the god of the Venom race.
Now I will. Where are the True Believer books? I am going to say kudos to Marvel because they're not putting page numbers on every page. They do put them on the opposite page. So it's like, I think it's page. Is it page 50?
True Believers is 65.
So on page 65, if you just want to flip there, and again, we love True Believers. But you see, they got 65, so I can tell the other page is 64. It says, get ready for King in Black, which is the big crossover coming. So if you've got these books, there may be something that happened in these books that's going to tie into the big crossover coming. So maybe Marvel, and I guess they found that in Empire. They went back and they pulled some forgotten ideas out of the past and brought it into the future, mixed it up with some current stuff. So, again, go out, either buy the True Believers for $1 or go run out and try to find the original one. Some of them will be tough. I mean, that Amazing Spider-Man 194 is high in price. I think the Thor, obviously, the first Beta Ray Bill, and some of these other ones. Is that the first Black Panther and Fantastic Four?
Let me look here.
It says 52.
Yes, no. It is.
52? Yeah, good luck with that one. But, yeah, so just be warned. Anyways, all the way back to page 2 is a series, again, miniseries. I love my miniseries. Wolverine, Black, White, and Blood. 1 of 4. This is going to be a untold tales, but all new, of Wolverine as Logan, Patch, Weapon X, Wolverine. He's gone by a lot of names and different lives, and they're getting some top talent to tell some stories in a 4-issue series. Again, I'm torn between buying the series, waiting for the inevitable graphic novel, but I think I'm going to jump in on the series because, like I said, one thing that I know is if I do read it and I don't like it, I can always just blow it off on the eBays. But if I do like it, I can still blow it off on eBays and buy the book.
And the reason it's called Black, White, and Blood is because the only color they will use is red.
Yep.
And you've got some examples there. There have been other comics that did this. Ms. Tree was black, white, and blue. Grendel did a black, white, and red miniseries. And I believe there was a Batman black, white, and red.
Yeah,
that they've done a few times.
Matter of fact,
So,
I'll talk about it later, but I got me a copy right here, Batman Black and White. But I don't think this has the color ones in it.
and
Probably not.
this is basically going to be an artist spotlight. So
Yeah.
I'm buying this as a trade.
Yep.
Looks like X of Swords is wrapping up in December.
I don't know about it. I'm going to buy this as a book because I'm not buying all the other extra books for it, which really makes me wonder, do I want to buy the only two books out of the whole series I'm buying is Wolverine and X-Men. So I'm kind of like, do I want to skip this month or do I want to just pick them up and whatever? I haven't made my decision yet. What's next for you, Mr. Strode?
Boy, are they wanting the Eternals to be a big hit.
Yeah.
There are more variant covers than I've had toasted cheese sandwiches this year, and I've had a lot of toasted cheese sandwiches this year. It's going to be a new series by Kieran Gillen and Isak Ribic. Isak Ribic was the person who drew Secret Wars, and if you look at the pages that they show, they're so good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And look at the covers. I mean, Alex Ross, Alan Davis, Hart Adams. You know what? If you want to talk, Cory, I'm going to go into Discount Comic Book Service and see. The big question is, are these all cheap, or are you going to have to like?
No, the hidden gems are going to be expensive.
Yeah, those usually are, and that's sad because it's got Kirby and Romita Jr.
Well, those they just take old art and repurpose it.
Yeah, and sometimes it's fun. All right, pre-order.
Joe's going to pull up and see how they are.
Yeah, and I already got the Kraytron 3000 fired up for future reason. You shall find out. Okay, let's see. Eternals. Well, first I'll probably get the regular one because they always give us a 50% off on it. But the Alex Ross, it looks like most of these are going to be cover price variants. So you can go to your retailer with this list that's on page 18 and tell them, I would like this variant. Unfortunately, you don't get to see the variants. Now, it's not until you get to the Ribic design variant that the price bumps to $8. Let's see. Ron Lim's variant is well, I'll just get, boy, it's like I'm on like 4 pages of variants here. So basically, almost everything is going to be at cover price that you can order ahead of time. Some of them, like the hidden gem variants, you're going to have to hope your retailer orders enough of these bloody things to actually help you out if you can. Be that as it may, Mr. Cory Strode, rat bastard and champion of millions, a national treasure who knows Kirby backwards and forwards, which cover are you going for?
Whatever covers on the trade paperback.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm actually going. I'll just probably get the cheap one. I think it's the Alex Ross one. I don't know for sure.
One of the things they've done on the digital, they will sell like digital books of all of the variant covers.
Mm-hmm.
So I may buy that. That's usually fun. I forget what one it was where I went, it was the Gwen Stacy covers. That month they did all the special Gwen Stacy covers. It was $3.99 for the digital comic of all of the Gwen Stacy covers. It's like, okay, I'll get that.
They actually show a few of the covers in the pages beyond that. So, Greg Land, the Alex Ross. You can't go wrong with Alex Ross. Well, maybe I'll go with that. So I'll buy this as I'll try it for 6 issues because they're trying to make this an ongoing, right?
It is an ongoing.
So again, if I like it after 6 issues, I'll probably sell them off and get the trade. I'm just wacky that way. Let's see, Marvel. What else we got here in Marvel?
They are starting a new series. The Marvel's Voices, which was a special comic they put out early this year, is now going to become a regular series, I believe. The first one is Indigenous Voices, where all of the creators are Native American.
Which is actually a good idea, I've always thought.
Yeah. And the first Marvel Voices was African American creators talking about the older comics that spoke to them when they were kids. So I will be very interested to see if they do the same thing for this. Spider-Man finishes up The Last Remains, and I'm reading that Past Sin story, and it has got me so hyped for this. So hyped for this. Nick Spencer, he can do both humor and hardcore superhero drama, and he's leaning into the guilt of Spider-Man right now, and what's going to come out of Sin's past will lead into this story, and boy, am I excited about it. And it also gives a really good reason why we have this .lr, because it does show all of the other Spider-Man spin-off type characters why they are not happy with Spider-Man at this point and will be working against him.
Ooh. So I did order the LR. I know I was kind of waffling on it last month, but I thought, why not? Might as well get the whole thing.
A lot of the rest is just continuing series.
Well, there is I'm not really big on the King is Black crossover, but they did what I always say you're going to do. You take two guys who I would read the phone book if they wrote it. In this case, they took Peter David and Greg Land, and they're doing a 5-issue miniseries, Symbiote Spider-Man, King in Black. So I am going to get this because I do like Peter David's writing, and I love Greg Land's art. And I'll be interested to see if this is enough to actually get me excited for the crossover, or if it's just going to be the crossover is going to hit, and I'm going to be like, okay, I'm bailing. Now, I have a question, Cory. On page 48, they're doing a facsimile edition of X-Men number 4. I haven't been paying attention. Did they do a facsimile of 1, 2, and 3?
I think
they did 1.
They probably did 1. This is being reprinted because it's the first appearance of the Scarlet Witch.
Okay, because I've always thought that.
And if you look up above it, it's the first appearance of the Vision. Because in December, the Vision Scarlet Witch TV series starts.
Aha. Okay, so my hope was, I was sitting there thinking, I'm going to go back and get those facsimiles because that would be a fun way to collect X-Men. Have a facsimile edition because they run the ads, they run the letter pages. It's just, sometimes I'm never going to find a copy of X-Men 4. And the one I had is long since gone. But this would be a fun way to collect it again. It's online. I've got Essentials. I've got Omnibuy.
They are doing a new Power Pack miniseries. My problem with it is it looks like that they're kind of going back to the original concept, which is hard because they aged up the characters over the last 20 years. So is this going to be in continuity, out of continuity? Are they going to forget the stuff that came before? Because I really think over the last 20 years, they've ruined Power Pack by having, this character's now in college and they've been with this superhero team and this character's been with this superhero team. And they've kind of split up what was interesting about them, that they were 4 kids who were written as kids who were superheroes. So this is one that if I read good reviews about, I will pick up as a trade because I like the Power Pack concept. There was nothing like it at the time when it came out. There's really nothing like it now. And I've always liked the idea, and especially, when you had Louise Simonson and June Brigman doing it, it was such a fantastic book. So I will see what they do with this. Thor, they're bringing back Donald Blake, Joe.
If you're not on Thor, you're going to have to do the trades or buy number 1 for $80. So I got no other series other than, like you said, the ongoing ones. They're resoliciting Taskmaster because that was on my list. Like, did number 1 come out and I missed it? No, it hasn't shipped yet. So if you want it, they have the little tiny code at the bottom. Give that to your retailer, and he'll make sure you get it. Because that's one thing that my Marvel list is really small because so many of the things are, when they give me the order code, that means, well, I probably already ordered this. I just have to wait for it to ship. So they are trying to catch up that way. Onto the graphic novel.
And I'll be buying all of the True Believers. Most of it is first appearances of characters who are going to be a big deal in that King in Black.
Yeah.
And then
So,
off to the collected editions.
ta-da. This is my on the fence. Everything's on the fence because what I do is I put down the list of things I really want, and they're pretty much everything I mentioned, and then I just have to kind of decide, do I want to invest in it again? Because I figured I must have about 15 omnibuses waiting to ship, because these are all made in China, and of course stuff going on in China is all higgly piggly, wiggly wobbly. So we never know when or if they'll ship. For me, the big one is X-Men Inferno Omnibus. And not only do I figure out which cover do I want, but I don't have any of these. And again, this is the whole kit and caboodle, hopefully in some semblance of order as it happened. And I just love crossovers like that. So.
And it's one that has been going for hundreds and hundreds of dollars.
Yeah. So, and of course I have to double check. Well, that's because I'm not ordering the other ones. That's why we sit back and let you get everybody all excited.
So on page 83, Conan the Barbarian, the original Marvel Years Omnibus, Volume 5. Normally, I will buy the one that has an original cover from back when they were being printed, but I never much cared for that Gil Kane cover they're using, and the Alex Ross cover is amazing. The problem is, and this is why I'm kind of hemming and hawing on it, there is one issue in this by Roy Thomas.
Yeah. But they get to put him on the written by list.
Yep, he did Conan 116. That was his last issue before he went over to DC. Then it was taken over. J.M. DeMatteis did some. Larry Hama did some. Steve Grant did some. Alan Zelenitz did some. Joe Duffy did some. Bruce Jones did some. They basically just kind of passed it off. But you've got John Buscema, who stayed on the book. Gil Kane stayed on the book. And, there's some Val Merrick. There's some Alfredo Alcala. There's some Mark Silvestri from real early in his career. On the next page, a year ago, I would have bought this, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mad
Captain
Bomber?
America by Jack Kirby, Mad Bomb. The reason I will not buy it now is because I have this story as trade paperbacks and as Marvel Masterworks. So I don't need it again.
You must have filled in that hole on the left corner of your thing with some other omnibuy, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, don't need that.
The Golden Age Captain America Omnibus is a reprint, one that they actually were bargaining out about 2-3 years ago. I always love that when it's, bargain this out. I got it for $30, and we're reprinting it again. Avengers: The Gathering Omnibus. Oh, this was a terrible story.
Yeah, I'm like, I see the crossing all over me. This one will be, I'm going to wait till $10 somewhere.
Yeah, this was one where I remember at the time going, I think this was actually when I dropped the Avengers, because it was this story is just awful.
I am pretty sure I kept collecting it because I just, the comics were a lot cheaper then, and I was turning into a bit of a Marvel zombie.
Yeah. They are reprinting the Chris Claremont, Jim Lee Omnibus #2. If you're into that, I didn't like these stories at the time, to be honest. So, but on the next page, Tony Stark Iron Man by Dan Slott Omnibus, the entire run. And here's the thing. Dan Slott, when Iron Man 2020 #6 came out, he said, yep, that was the ending that I planned when I pitched that I would take over the book. And he talked about how he made it so it could be a really nice omnibus, just tell this story that he's wanted to tell for a long time. Dan Slott has some stories he was wanted to tell for a long time, like the Reckoning War. The Masterworks continue to make me depressed because they're books that I bought as a teenager and in my early 20s. Dazzler, a second Dazzler Marvel Masterwork. I remember at the time the Dazzler was just god awful.
But
And now it's
Galactus was
getting,
in it by issue 4.
yeah, this was 14 through 25. So it's leading up to Dazzler the movie, which they pitched as, oh, this is going to be a big deal. This is going to change the book. And the rumor was they were going to finally make it into a superhero type book. And then you read the graphic novel, and it's just terrible.
Holy cow, she's a mutant.
Well,
that's my recollection of it.
My recollection was that it's, oh, she's outed as a mutant, but she's making a movie, and Vince Coletta just shit all over the art. And the story was a romance story. I don't mind a romance story, but don't be making my superhero book a romance book telling me it's a superhero story.
Wait, wasn't that the Beauty and the Beast crossover? Or the miniseries there where Beast and Dazzler got hot and heavy?
That was different.
Oh.
This is Dazzler the movie,
Never mind.
The graphic novel.
Is it pre-printed in the omnibus? Or no, this is
not in
Masterwork.
the omnibus. This is everything leading up to that. But Dazzler just, I remember when that book came out, it's like, well, this shit the bed.
Cory,
and, this was everything leading up to it shitting the bed.
Ugh.
The official Marvel handbook is getting a omnibus.
Nope.
So if you want to read a whole bunch of outdated stuff about Marvel characters, there you go.
Do you remember what I said I was going to do when the Giant Size X-Men by Jonathan Hickman came out in trade paperback?
Yes.
Yep.
You're going to pick it up.
Damn straight. That's on page 96. Reprinting the Giant Size X-Men, Jean Grey, Emma Frost, Nightcrawler, Magneto, Fantomex, who I have no idea who it is, and Storm. So as long as Hickman writes it, I will pick it up eventually in one form or another.
I was not happy about the fact that there are no Dawn of X trade paperbacks, but I did check online and they are continuing them. But no Dawn of X trade paperbacks this month. It might be the month when comics weren't coming out. But we do get some more Empire trade paperbacks. And let's see here. The Marvel's X story, which is everything leading up to Earth X, Paradise X. The prequel to that is now out as a trade paperback. When you get to the Epic collections, you get everything leading up to and the first issue of Peter David's run on the Hulk, including all 6 issues by John Byrne.
Amazing.
Where he basically screwed everything up and then left in a fit.
Yep.
On the next page is the Thor War, which was the Tom DeFalco, Ron Friends stuff that I have never read because, boy, it didn't take him long for me to drive me off that. Then on the next page is the West Coast Avengers Vision Quest, where John Byrne screwed up the Vision and left in a huff. That still makes me mad every time I think of it. The Vision was one of the most popular supporting characters at Marvel. John Byrne said, well, he's a toaster. I'm going to turn him back into a robot. Or as they would say on Futurama, a robot. He was never a robot. He's a synthezoid. In his second appearance, even an android can cry. He was a Mr. Spock type character. He had emotions because they were programmed into him. Byrne was like, no, he's a toaster.
No.
But on the next page, you can read the 2 Vision and Scarlet Witch miniseries that are coming out because you've got a book coming out.
A TV show.
That's right.
Yeah, that's okay. That's all good.
So, was there anything else that jumped out at me here?
Let me look at my list here. Nope. I think we pretty much covered it.
Well, if you missed the Age of Apocalypse, they're reprinting those as trade paperbacks again. Getting those back into print.
Yeah.
Which I think that was so popular they need to keep that in print at all times.
Yeah, those were fun.
It drove me off the X-Men books, but a lot of people really liked it, and it's not all about me, Joe. It's not all about me. It should be, but it's not.
It should be, but it's not. All right, what's next?
Dynamite!
Wait a minute. We're missing something.
DC, they're not listed in previews anymore.
Doesn't matter. I saw a couple things that I'm actually semi-interested in.
What?
Although Diamond, when they had the Diamond catalog, they had a pamphlet as big as the Marvel supplement that came with it. Now they have a mere 11 pages on. Well, basically what I do is I go to Discount Comic Book Service and they have everything listed A to B, A to Z, and there were three. None of it was new in terms of series on by, but there were three things I thought was interesting, and I'm just going to mention them because there's no page number, but it is all alphabetical. The first one is 100 Bullets Omnibus Volume 1.
Yes.
I've got the first two hardcovers, so I got to decide, do I want to sell the hardcovers, which I just recently got, because there's 4 altogether in the hardcovers that I was picking up, or do I just want to go buy the omnibus? I haven't decided what I'm going to do. I haven't priced them out yet, so that's on the maybe list. There's also the Amazing World of Superman tabloid edition hardcover, which caught my eye. This was only it's $19.99, and you can probably get it for less. But it's from 1973, reprinting the origin of the Man of Steel off the Amazing World of Superman, which was Amazing World was kind of like was it kind of like a fanboy thing or an insider look at what was going on at DC, or was it just something to make extra money?
For this Superman book?
Yeah.
It was a tie-in to the Superman movie.
Aha. Because, I'm just looking. It says they got classic stories, Lex Luthor's sinister visit to a theme park called Superman Land, Superboy stories, a map of Krypton, how to draw Superman. So it looks like it's kind of fun. And since there's no way in hell I could afford the originals, I figure for the price they're offering this in a hardcover, and it's in a tabloid edition, so I believe that means bigger, right?
Yes.
So that'll be
kind of fun. Because it was originally a tabloid.
And the last thing I'll point out is Mad Magazine number 17. If you're a Sergio Aragonés fan, and you damn well better be, this is going to be an issue all for him. Judging off the one I mentioned, was the last podcast of what there was like all superheroes?
Yeah.
It was a blast. It's all reprints except for they had a tribute to Mort because he had passed away. But again, if you're a Sergio fan and you might as well pick it up. It should be a lot of fun. That was it, other than the normal stuff I normally get. So I have figured out a way, despite DC's best effort, to thwart me at every turn. So I will reluctantly recommend those 3 things for DC. How about you, Mr. Strode? What do you got?
Since Joe has said that he will not be participating in the DC portion, I record it all by myself. So here is what is in DC Connect, which is their new version of previews. Because DC is not through Diamond, they are not in Diamond at all anymore. They do have the DC Connect. It's available all over the internet. Just put in for DC Connect. You'll want to put in DC Connect 4 for the most recent one. You can always get the most recent one by going to dcbservice.com and going to downloads, where you can download the PDF. A few things that I want to point out from DC. First off, they are finally going to be printing The Other History of the DC Universe, which is written by John Ridley, who's actually an Academy Award-winning screenwriter. He wrote 12 Years a Slave. And he is going to be looking at the big moments of DC history through the prism of DC heroes who are not straight white men, for lack of a better term. We have the first issue is going to be following Jonathan Pierce, who becomes Black Lightning. We've also got Karen and Mal Duncan. Mal Duncan was a minor character in the Teen Titans in the 70s, and has been used very, very sporadically ever since. Tatsu Yamashiro, who is, oh, what is her name? She's Katana. And then Renee Montoya, who was a police officer in Gotham City and then became the Question, and I have no idea if she's still the Question because they're doing a Question miniseries with Vic Sage, and all this will be coming out. It's going to be 5 prestige format issues. It'll be bi-monthly. It was announced quite a while ago and then pulled from release, and now it's coming out. I heard good things about it before it was to come out. This is one of those books where, because it's coming out bi-monthly, I think people are going to kind of lose sight of it between issues. 60 days is an awful long time between issues of a comic, especially one like this. So this is one that I will be picking up as a trade paperback or a hardcover. They have some of the art and some of the special covers, and it looks really good. There is a Punchline special, which is going to be the big character coming out of Joker War is the Joker's new girlfriend, Punchline. Her first appearances are going for huge amounts of money. So this is a little more into her background and origin. This is one I might pick up as a regular comic because I can't see it popping into anything else unless they put it in the Joker War book. What else new is coming out? They have a whole new bunch of what they call Tales from the Dark Multiverse, which is kind of their version of What If over at Marvel, except theirs are all dark. What if the worst thing happened? We're going to get Flashpoint. We're going to get Hush. Let's see. And there are a few others coming, but only 2 this month. They're going to do, I think, either 5 or 6 overall. We've also got what looks like they're wrapping up the big death metal crossover, which was part of the Scott Snyder really huge story that started with metal a few years ago. My son, actually, on the day he was going to get married, we were talking some comics, and he said he was interested in reading this story, but he didn't know where to start. And I said, you and me both. This is one of those things that started and then weaved through all sorts of books and now seems to be closing up. I'll be interested to see how they collect all of these tie-ins and everything together. But it's been popular. The Batman Who Laughs is probably one of the more popular characters that's been created in the past few years. If you remember the comic Sweet Tooth by Jeff Lemire, which came out through Vertigo back when there was a Vertigo, it has been sold to Netflix. There's going to be a series coming out, so of course they're bringing the comic back. It's coming out through Black Label, which we've heard that Black Label is gone. We've also heard that Mad Magazine is gone, but DC has not. They've not said either way on any of those rumors. So whenever they're asked, they do the corporate dodge. Sweet Tooth is a series that I did not read. It was one of those I was waiting for it to be collected, and then by the time it was collected, I was paying attention to other things. Because it's getting a Netflix series, I will go ahead and pick up those back issues, the trade paperbacks, or if there's a full collected version. Because Jeff Lemire does very good work. He's an incredible cartoonist who writes and draws and has had successful stuff over at Dark Horse, and his DC stuff has been good. Sweet Tooth I heard good things about, but again, it kind of, when there's so much coming out, you kind of have to pick and choose what you're going to get. Let's see what else here was jumping out at me in the regular comics. I don't believe there was much else that was going to be new. The rest is them kind of wrapping some things up. One thing I do like is they announced the Endless Winter crossover, and I looked at DC's solicitation for December, and this Endless Winter crossover is actually going to be all done in 1 month. And I've talked about that in the past, how much I like that. They also push Fandom, which was a few weeks ago. I didn't go to Fandom, mostly because with the San Diego Comic-Con being online, they put everything up on YouTube so you could watch it at your own time. With Fandom, it was all live. I don't know if they're going to put any of that up on YouTube, but it's... First off, I wasn't able to figure out how to get it on my Roku TV. And the second thing was, I didn't want to sit at my computer all day on a Saturday. San Diego Comic-Con got it right when they put everything up on YouTube so that you could watch it when you have time. And I wish they would do that for all future panels going forward. I know that they've recorded some of their panels in the past and put them up online. But for me, I think it's a great idea because these panels are pretty much either historical or promotional. And if they're promotional, you want as many people to see them as you can. You don't want it to just be, the 2, 4, 600 people in a room, or even, when they're in the big room, I think it holds like maybe 1,000, something like that. You want as many people to see it as possible. So when you put it online, everybody can see it. Mad Magazine number 17 is coming out on 12/9 of 2020. It is a mad look at Sergio Aragonés. It is a tribute to him, just like the tribute they did a while back to Al Jaffe. I think these are excellent ideas if they're going to do reprint issues. Sergio is a true national treasure. His stuff has always been incredible. Everything from his earliest drawn-out dramas, which are the little cartoons he would do on the side of the page in Mad, to Gru, to Sergio Aragonés Funnies. The man is just phenomenal. Phenomenal storyteller, a phenomenal cartoonist, and he knows how to make things funny. His art, it's funny how we always think of his art looking the same, but when I went back and read some really early Sergio stuff, it's like, wow, that doesn't really seem like the Sergio I know. And then some stuff from the 70s, it's like, well, it's all good, but his work has evolved and gotten better over time. And the stuff he does now is just, the last 4-issue Gru miniseries was just outstanding. Absolutely wonderful stuff. And that pretty much brings us to the collected editions, because there aren't a lot of books that DC is starting up. They're still in this sort of transition phase. So books are ending, books are not being started up, probably not until at least the first of the year. We probably won't see a lot of new books until the first of the year. So, collected versions. 100 Bullets was a series that Vertigo did. It's by Brian Azzarello, and most of the art is Eduardo Rizzo. The gimmick of the story is that a man will show up, you're given a gun and 100 untraceable bullets. And each story arc kind of tells what the person does with that freedom. It lasted 100 issues. It was one of the earlier big-time crime comics when the crime comics boom sort of started. I would say early 2000s. I've always been a big fan of crime fiction. And while this sort of lost me on a month-to-month basis, I don't think it worked as regular comic book issues, because it was one of those books that was very clearly written for the trade, where they wouldn't do a lot of recap in the first issue. It was, you've read a chapter, the next month another chapter, the next month another chapter. And Eduardo Rizzo's art is different from what was being published at the time. I have read some of the trades. It works far better as a collected edition. This is going to be 2 volumes as an omnibus. The first volume collects issues 1 through 58 and A Tale from Winter's Edge #3. So the second volume will complete the story. It is pricey. It's $150 for 1,376 pages. They are putting out The Authority as trade paperbacks again. The Authority was kind of where the what they called big screen, where they did stories where it was set in an alternate universe, so they could have big stories with big consequences. I wish they would put out the Stormwatch trade paperbacks that led up to The Authority, but this is basically where superheroes decide, look, we need to run things. There are supervillains, there are aliens, there are all these horrible things coming. We're the Authority. We're going to take charge. It's written by Warren Ellis. Most of the art is by Brian Hitch, Paul Neary, and Phil Jimenez, so the art is phenomenal. This made Brian Hitch a huge star. This has Authority 1 through 12, the crossover between Planetary and the Authority, and a story from Wildstorm. Excellent stuff. DC is reprinting a lot of the tabloid books they did. So one of the tabloids they are putting out is one that they put out, I thought it was for the Superman movie, but it looks like it was 1973. And it's The Amazing World of Superman. It's basically, it's got a map of Krypton. It's got some reprints. I think it was the first of the tabloid comics that DC put out. Tabloid comics are, the size of a newspaper tabloid. When you make a comic, you basically take a tabloid page and fold it over. That's in publishing how they did that. These are, so these are, let's see, 10 inches by 13.5 inches. They were bigger. They were actually on better paper at the time. And when a regular comic at this time was selling for about 20 cents, these were like $2 or $1.50. They're reprinting this as a hardcover, 64 pages, $20. I'm not that interested in this reprint because it just reprints other Superman stories. And it was reprinting some of the big Superman stories. So they've been in other books. They've been in, The Best of Superman, Superman from the 40s, 50s, 60s. Let's see. One of the books that I'm thoroughly excited about is DC Through the 80s, The End of Eras. And what this is a collection of comics, kind of when series would end, because DC, after Crisis on Infinite Earths, kind of wrapped everything up, and what was supposed to come after Crisis on Infinite Earths was everything was starting over again. There were some books like Superman where everything started over again. They did Man of Steel with a new origin and everything. There were Justice League, Aquaman, things like that. They started over. Hawkman is a really good example. There were others like Batman that did more of a soft reboot. They told a new origin, but they never really said, okay, now we're going to do a bunch of stories where Batman is just learning about his powers. Wonder Woman started over with a fresh reboot. Other books did as well. This reprints a number of those final stories. It's got, of course, the Alan Moore stuff, the Action Comics 583, and let's see, the last issue of House of Mystery, the last issue of Brave and the Bold, the last issue of Black Hawk, last issue of Sergeant Rock. But the other thing it has is the legendary, never-before-published Twilight proposal. After Crisis on Infinite Earths, people were asked to submit big crossover stories. Alan Moore submitted one called Twilight. And the problem was that as they were working on it, they screwed him over on Watchmen. and he said he wasn't going to work for the company anymore. And sometime Joe and I are going to go into deep detail about that, because everybody said we was pissed about the not getting Watchmen back. There's more to it than that. There was also the fact that DC put labeling on books. There was also the fact that they put out a bunch of Watchmen merchandise and didn't give him royalties, saying, oh, no, that's promotional. Rather than saying, oh, yeah, you're right, these Watchmen buttons, you should get a cut of that because you created it. They did Hollywood accounting, and Alan Moore said, well, screw you, I'm gone. It's a hardcover. It's 520 pages, so it's like a small omnibus for $50. It's self-contained stories. It's really good stuff. Even if it's just got Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow, and you don't have that story, it's a good one to have. But I like the fact that it's got a number of final issues, a number of things that sort of wrap up things for DC characters, kind of letting you know what DC was like pre-crisis. There is a new Flash by Jeff Johns omnibus, which finishes up... I don't think this finishes up his... Yeah, this is the second half of his stint on the book, so this is the conclusion. I like Jeff Johns on The Flash, but not so much that I bought it as omnibuses. I have it as comics, and that's good enough for me. This isn't a series I'm going to read over and over and over again, because Jeff Johns was good, but he wasn't as good as Mark Waid. The Mark Waid stuff I'm buying as, nice collections that I'll read over and over again. Jeff Johns was more, just solid superhero stories. Let's see what else is jumping out at me. The Jeff Johns Shazam series, all 14 issues, except for the one he didn't do. So it's got issues 1 through 11 and 13 and 14. They're going to be as one book. This was one where I was going to wait for the trade, especially when Dave Eaglesham and Jeff Johns were getting later and later and later and later on the book. So here it is. On the next page is Super Friends Saturday Morning Comics Volume 2. I've talked about this before. This reprints Super Friends 27 through 47. They're fun, silly comics by E. Nelson Bridwell, who was an editor at DC and should have gotten more chances to write and should have been treated better when he was there. He was the unofficial historian. He was the guy who knew, he knew everything about DC Comics, and his first boss was Mort Weisinger, who was terrible to him. And Julie Schwartz was better, but he still never got the respect he needed. I would buy this book, except for the fact that it's $70. 488 pages, $70 for stories that were pretty much aimed at kids. Ramona Frandon and Kurt Schaffenberger did the art. They were good, but they were intentionally drawing a kid's book because it tied into the Super Friends cartoon. So that one's a skip for me. Let's see if there was anything else that jumped out. Nope. That was the last of the books. I know Joe says he's not buying any DC anymore, but there's a new Transmetropolitan reprint by Warren Ellis and Derek Robertson. Derek Robertson is amazing, especially if you've read the new Hellblazer story. Always been a huge fan of Derek Robinson. This was where I first discovered his art. This reprints Transmetropolitan 37 through 48 and the one-shot Transmetropolitan Filth of the City. If you have not read Transmetropolitan, it's Hunter S. Thompson in the future. So there you go. There's DC, and we have now made this episode one of our longest ever. Well, I record all my DC stuff separately because for the last 3-4 times we've done this, you've said fuck DC. So here it is. And now it's time for Dynamite.
I still say that because my DC list is really shrinking again. There was one other book I was kind of interested in, and called The Other History of the DC Universe, which I thought I'd check it out. It's only 5 issues, so again, once I figure out my budget, I might get it or I might wait for the inevitable trade. I just haven't decided yet. And of course, Transmetropolitan Book 4 is coming. Yay! I think that's the last one, isn't it? I don't know.
Should be, depending on how many they're printing.
Yeah, they've done 3 already, so it might be the whole
No, I
series.
mean how many issues they have per book.
Yeah.
There's Transmetropolitan Book 4, but that's the trade paperback.
Yeah, that's what I've been buying.
You've got a lot more.
Okay, cool. Oh, fun.
Dynamite!
I got nothing new from Dynamite. Again, they've got some really interesting stuff coming out that I like to point out. Like one of them, right on page 148, Chaos 25th Anniversary Ultra Premium Sketch Cards. Everyone's favorite anti-heroes in a special Dynamite series of one-of-a-kind hand-drawn original art signed sketch cards. They're saying it's $5. That doesn't sound right.
Probably $5 a card.
Yeah, well, basically that's essentially probably what you're doing, because each card comes in a single envelope. So, but I'm curious to see Chaos. All right, so I got to find the letter C.
Carry the 4.
So apparently you buy them for $26.25. So apparently you're buying a bunch of them if you're going to do it, and then I would sell them at like $5 a pop. So maybe at $35, that means there's probably 7 cards for however many packs are going to make. So kind of an interesting idea. Thousands of original sketch cards. Amazing. And the next page is something interesting too. I have no idea what it is. It's Fallout Hidden Vault limited edition trading card box set for about $60. And
it's for a video game.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay, because very limited edition, numbered boxes. It celebrates Dynamite's Fallout trading cards, and it has a collection of rare items from both series in one complete and collectible package. When I had my comic shop, and even sometimes if I have extra cash free on my eBay, this is the type of things that I would buy and then put on eBay either right away if no one else did, or maybe wait on it a little bit, because it's supposed to only be offered once. And I've had some good luck with things like this, not only from Dynamite, but from other publishers as well. So that's pretty much it in terms of Dynamite, other than, like I said, the normal things. If you need a Smiley Psychotic Button bottle opener, they're offering it again. Or if you need the Vampirilla Jose Gonzalez vintage door poster, if I had a door to put it on, I probably would.
And now
I can get the enamel pin. I'm sorry, I'm just babbling now.
And now, boom!
Boom, chug, lug, lug, boom, chug, lug, lug. I am looking at page 170. Origins, written by Clay McLeod Chapman, illustrated by Jacob Rebelka. 1,000 years after humans are killed off by artificial intelligence, one man is brought back to life. David Adams, who created the technology that destroyed his people. Now, with the help of the android Klo, who is revived with him, Klo revived him, and David will try to restore humanity and stop the AI overlords he created. It's the greatest battle of his life, seeking redemption while also discovering if humanity can or should have any type of future. Science fiction epic, a couple art pages, look gorgeous. 6-issue series, and I will give it a shot.
There was nothing new in Boom for me.
The only other thing I point out is, and again, I'm not buying it, but there are 2 new Power Ranger series if you're really into Power Rangers. So, yeah, that's it for me. Nothing else for Boom.
That leads us to
everybody else. Dun, dun, dun.
The rest of the catalog.
All right, round robin like we normally do?
Sure. Although, let's start off early on page 199.
199? Good grief.
The Sumerian Volume 1 reprints the Conan stories that have been done by this new publisher, Ablaze. They're a British publisher. Not British. They're a European publisher in the U.S., so they reprint a lot of European stuff. These Sumerian books were already published in Europe.
In British.
It reprints Red Nails and Queen of the Black Coast. They're
unrestrained, violent, and sexual.
Yep, it's basically, okay, we can adapt these Conan stories and don't have to worry about the comics code, but I thought Roy Thomas did a better job. However, the art is beautiful in these, and I remember reading the Queen of the Black Coast, the first 2 issues they had a preview available online, and I liked it. However, 144 pages for $25 as a paperback. Stories that I already know pretty well because I've read them and read adaptations of them. And one of the adaptations that Marvel did was by Barry Windsor Smith. I don't know if my budget allows it.
I'm pointing over on the other side on page 198. Mirka Andolfo's Unsacred Volume 2, Number 1. I've got the first 6 issues. Basically, it's an angel and a demon against all odds fall in love. And so this is once again into the world of Angelina and Damiano, I don't know, and Eden, their new arrival in the family. A lot of different covers to choose from. Some are fun, some are sexy, some are blank, so you can get your own. I will probably have a review of this because I finally got the first 6 issues all together, and I'll read it. But I've been kind of watching it as we go through, and I'm actually looking forward to it. It should be fun.
Page 201 and 202. Yes, I'm going to sneak in 2 here. Are 2 books that reprint weirdness from Marvel. The first we actually saw yesterday, Joe.
Yeah, at Walden Books.
Marvel Comics mini books collectible box set. These were some tiny comics that were available in those where you put in the coin and you twist it and a gumball would come out or a toy would come out. These were available in those. Mark Evanier has put them all together and written up their history.
Now, I'm not saying that Mark necessarily stole the idea from me, but if you recall, I mean, I remember blathering on and on about this, about what, the things that Marvel had never reprinted that they should. Could Mark be listening to us? He is, and again, Mark's a guy too that if he wrote the phone book, I would read it. So I was going to check something on this. What's this under? Abrams.
It is, Abrams Publishing. They publish mostly books. As you notice, they've got like Art of Star Wars, The Mandalorian. Then on the next page,
what was the price at Walden?
$25.
Okay, so
and that was in their discount section.
Yeah, so this is new. We'll get a little bit better deal on discount comic book service. So, but this one actually looks real fun. And Corey's already ahead of me. But go ahead, Cory, because this is one that's on my list too.
On the next page is Marvel Value Stamps of Visual History by Roy Thomas. Back in the 70s, if you've collected Bronze Age comics, you have probably dealt with the fact that kids would clip out the Marvel Value Stamp. You would mail away to Marvel to get a book, and you would send it in to get something. I never quite understood what you would get.
Although at the last con, Graham Cracker had not only, I think, empty books, but full books with Marvel stamps in it. So that's the first time I had ever seen the book that you put the stamps in. However, like you said, Cory, what did you do with it once you defaced all these awesome comics?
Well, Roy Thomas, who was editor-in-chief when this started, is going to tell us.
It's about time. If only they could tell us who won the $10,000 Toys R Us prize. Toys R Us isn't going to tell us.
Because everything I've read is nobody knows.
Yeah.
Although they did find the kids who won the You Can Have an Appearance in Superman 2 prize that DC
cool.
ran. And they actually found that they were in the background of like a couple of scenes. Of a couple of frames, not a couple of scenes, a couple of frames. It's like, oh, look, there they are.
Well, at least they can say they done did it. All right.
Go ahead, Joe.
No, I was going to say I'm jumping all the way up to page 246. Under Behemoth Comics, there's a book that caught my attention. A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, written by the director of the film of the same name, which, have you seen it, Cory?
I have not.
Okay. It's 96% certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. Here's a synopsis. Strange things are afoot in Bad City. It's an Iranian ghost town, home to prostitutes, junkies, pimps, and other sordid souls. It's a bastion of depravity and hopelessness where a lonely vampire, the girl, stalks the town's most unsavory inhabitants. I can't tell if it's an ongoing. I guess it would be an ongoing because the other stuff from Behemoth is. So a couple of funky covers to choose from, same price. So I caught my attention. I think I'll give this one a shot. Which is weird because, I'm not big on vampire stuff. But, maybe it was just, it's the girl. Oh, my.
If you flip back to page 222, there's a bunch of stuff there. You got the Billionaire Island graphic novel. I read the first couple issues of Billionaire Island and loved it, but decided I was going to get the trade because there was such a long gap in between issues 1 and 2. It's by, Mark Russell and Steve Pugh, who also did the Mark Russell's done phenomenal stuff all over the place, including the what was the book where Jesus is Superman's roommate?
Second Coming?
Yes.
Okay.
Right underneath that is Happy Hour, a new book from Ahoy. We like Ahoy, especially since that's how I answer my phone. Ahoy, ahoy. On the page next to it, on the same page, The Goon, A Bunch of Old Crap, Volume 3. It's a resolicit, but they're reprinting all of the stuff from The Goon on Dark Horse. And The Goon is one of those books where I'm kind of mad at myself for not getting onto it much sooner. Let's see. Joe?
I'm sorry, I'm just writing down Happy Hour because after reading it, I think I'm going to pick that one up. I'm pointing out one way up on page 249 under Cartoon Books, offered again, which is mildly amazing because I know when I looked for this when it came out originally, I could not find it. It is the Bone 1-volume 20th anniversary hardcover box set, signed color edition. Not only does it come with the single volume 1,344 full color page Bone, but the hardcover comes in a beautifully illustrated red box with a magnetic clasp, filled to the brim with limited collectibles such as signed and numbered art, miniature facsimile of the Bone #1 comic, which is kind of cool, Bone cover gallery, and a new essay by Jeff Smith called 20 Years with Bone. It's been way beyond 20 years since this obviously came out. All I remember is he must have just found these in a warehouse or something. Or maybe they were just sitting somewhere and they did a poor job of distributing them. Because I know when I went for one, sold out, sorry. And, I looked all over eBay and I didn't want it. And I do have the hardcover slip edition Bone. So, and of course my daughters, somewhere we have the paperback that they read in half. They read it so much. If your kids or you have never read Bone, you definitely owe it to yourself to check it out. If you happen to have an extra $350, this would probably be a good way to do it.
Back on page 231, there's a book that I'm hemming and hawing about, and that is Fred Perry's Gold Digger Remastered. Gold Digger is a independent comic, and if you see on that page, issue 281 is coming out. It's very manga and anime influenced. He's taking his old black and white work, putting it in full color. It's 600 pages. It's $49.99 with your discount. Again, this is one of those books I've heard about for years and years and years, and the fact that it's on issue 281 means somebody must like it. So I'm tempted by this. I don't know if I'm going to decide on getting it, but I'm very tempted by it because it's a cool way to at least see if it's something that You know, is it any good? Is it something I might want to get? Let's see, Joe.
All right, I'm gonna have you all jump to page 257 because this is gonna be a multiple choice. Oh, if I had the money, I'd buy everything on this freaking page because I just amazing stuff from Drawn and Quarterly this month. The two that got my attention for definite purchase: Paul at Home graphic novel. Paul at Home is Michael Rabagaliti. Again, Mike, if you're there, give us a call. We'll pronounce this right. It's a very personal book, riveting, emotional, frequently amusing take on the losses and loneliness of being closer to retirement than to the university. Paul is in his mid-50s, a successful cartoonist with an achy shoulder, living in a house he once shared with his wife and daughter. Left unspoken but lingering in the background is Paul's divorce after a 3-decade relationship to his high school sweetheart. You know, and sometimes I feel that way too. I mean, I'm still with Chris, back on plastic. And yes, she has been nominated for sainthood. But, you know, I'm in my mid-50s. My shoulder aches from arthritis, and I feel closer to retirement than anything else. And some days I feel like I'm trapped because if I really want to pull out of retirement, I got to hang where I'm at. So that one I think I might pick up. Across from it, 19 graphic novel by Anko, who's the writer-artist. At 19, the idea that you have your whole life ahead of you with endless possibilities can leave you terrifyingly stiff. This autobiography blends with fiction of these coming-of-age stories about people reckoning with their place in the community and women coming to terms with other women. A boy living with HIV tries to decide how he's going to tell his parents or whether he should tell them at all. A mother puts pressure on her daughter to pass her exams, and the stress drives them both to drink, fueling a toxic relationship. Drawn and Quarterly's just got some phenomenal stuff. And again, if I had money, I would buy all of these. Instead, I'm going to, across the page on DK Publishing, I'm going to pick up I Am C-3PO, The Inside Story by Anthony Daniels, which is his deeply personal memoir, recounting his experience about being in Star Wars and his most intimate memories as the only actor to appear in every Star Wars, from his first meeting with George Lucas to the final emotional days on the set of Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Love these books like this, and I'm going to pick this one up, definitely. And like I said, I got those other two. Check out page 257, because it really, if I had the money, I'd buy all 6 of these books that are listed here, because Drawn and Quarterly is just one of, like, top shelf, just one of those that whatever they list, I definitely take a second look. And Fangraphs is that way too. How about you, Cory? What you got?
Over at Fantagraphics, I don't have the money for this. The Complete Hate, 3 volumes in a slipcase. Peter Bag's Hate is one of my favorite comics. It encapsulated the 90s perfectly. It was funny, it was mean, but it wasn't so mean that you just hated it. It's about the story of Buddy Bradley and his family, who came from the what was the series they did before? But it's very much Buddy is kind of a slacker. What was that?
The Bradley.
Neat stuff.
Yeah, that was in there too.
Yep. And just very funny stuff, very 90s. Buddy Bradley is a guy who doesn't really want to ever get a job, and this is the story of his life through the 90s, where by the end he's just running a garbage. He's running like I don't want to call it a garbage.
A nostalgia shop, kind of like the ones I keep pining for. He just sells used records, used comics. He runs through garage sales and thrift stores, and he has the brains and the knowledge to know, hey, this is only $1, but I can bring it back and sell it for $50.
Yeah.
I don't even know if they were, when this came out, if the interwebs was in eBay was even a thing. So they're just doing it, and again, like you said, they're in a seedy part of town, and maybe even questionable accounting, if I remember the partner he was partnered up with.
and he would go through garbage heaps for stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So on the other page is the next book in the Pogo, where they're reprinting Pogo, Pockets Full of Pie. No, I'm not just getting it because it says pie. Pogo is one of the most beautiful comic strips in history. Mark Evanier has already said this is going to be late because it's being shipped from China, and it could be up to 2 to 3 months late. But he's letting everybody know that ahead of time because it's supposed to come out in December, and he said, we'll be lucky if we get it by February. Also, the EC stuff where they reprint stories by artists rather than, oh, here's True Fisted Tales, here's Weird Fantasy. The new book is Accidents and Old Lace, a bunch of Graham Ingalls stuff. Graham Ingalls was one of the best horror artists ever. And if you've ever read Bernie Wrightson, you know that he was a huge fan of Graham Ingalls. Huge fan of Graham Ingalls. Joe?
On page 271, under the Hero Initiative, the Batman 100 Project softcover. I buy these books directly from the Hero Initiative through their eBay store, but here's your chance to get one through your friendly neighborhood comic store. Basically what they do is the Hero Initiative helps out older comic creators in need, whether they in medical or they're in danger of losing their home, or yes, some of them have been homeless. And what they do is they take blank covers and they go out and they yell to the comic community, make me a cover. They've done it with Wolverine, X-Men, Avengers, Walking Dead, Archie, Batman's turn. And so you see they dropped George Perez's name, but I can guarantee you there's art by Arthur Adams, Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, Adam Kubert, Jim Lee, Frank Miller, Bill Sienkiewicz, and many, many more. What they do is they give them all a blank cover. They draw usually one, some do more than one, and then they reprint it in this book. All the proceeds go to the Heroes Initiative. Then they take these books and they auction them off. Yeah, you're not going to get the Jim Lee or even the Adam Kubert cheap, but you keep an eye. They do some of they might be doing them all on eBay now because they used to bring them to San Diego Comic-Con. They'd bring them to Wizard World. They bring them to New York Comic-Con. And matter of fact, as long as I got my Kray 1000 fired up for the inevitable eBayer, let's see if they've got any listed right now, because I have everything, people that I buy from listed, and the Heroes Initiative is definitely one of them there. Let me just, they only got 50 things. Yeah, they've got, I used to like to buy the hardcovers a little bit more. You see the soft cover for 14, you can get the hardcover. And then I used to run around try to get them signed by people, which was always kind of fun. They're doing sketch. I see like a Ryan Cody original Superman Hero Initiative sketch card. So maybe, and there's a Shannon Denton Batman sketch card. So maybe the books are already gone. But here's your chance to get it. Or like I said, just jump on to Hero Initiative eBay store. There's Wonder Woman, there's Walking Dead, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Uncanny X-Men. These books are just a lot of fun. And, you get all sorts of different artwork. And then they also got some blank sketch covers. So if you happen to run across your favorite artist who either is or wasn't in the book, you can have them do it for you. And like I said, Heroes Initiative is fantastic. Whenever the MCBAs get their charity stuff going, they're going to be one of the recipients of our generosity because they are so generous to all the comic creators. I was looking for a list of people they've helped, but go look online. You can find it.
On page 317, the trade paperback of the big Doctor Who crossover series, Time Lord Victorious, which is going to be audiobooks and comics and radio dramas and all sorts of other things. This is the trade paperback of the comic part of it. And then Joe actually saw these this weekend. I'm going to sneeze again. Hold on. The Marvel Classic Novels Wolverine Weapon X Omnibus. This reprints it's 2 books from the 90s Marvel novels that were put out by Byron Price, which went away when Byron Price passed away. But a lot of the people who worked on these Marvel books were people who did a lot of movie tie-in and TV tie-in stuff, like Adam Roy Castro, Keith R.A. DiCandido. You had, I think, at least one by Peter David that actually tied into the comic. But, you know, a lot of people who write a lot of media tie-in books. These are all really entertaining. And Joe actually saw them this weekend. And they're
Barnes
big,
and Noble
books.
Yeah, they look pretty solid. There's some good reading in them. And like Cory mentioned to me, if it was like a trilogy or a two-parter, it's all in a single book. So, which always helped because nothing drove me crazy. I got part 1 and 3. Whatever happened to 2? I know I ordered it. I'm going to jump back to page 284 in Oni Press. Again, one of these books that I would love to get, although I don't know if I'm going to. It's called Lemonade Code. Robbie Reynolds isn't just a genius, he's a super genius, but he doesn't have cash to fund his ultimate and top secret project. That's why he's opening up a lemonade stand. Not just any lemonade stand. This is state of the art. And he can make you any flavor lemonade your heart desires. Bacon, salsa, potato, pie, dirty diaper, anything you want. Unfortunately, Robbie isn't the only one in the lemonade hustle. Daphne Dury is across the street neighbor, has her own setup going, and something about her lemonade, people are buying hers and just not buying Robbie's. So they're going to have a full-on lemonade war, one that Robbie is quickly losing. A couple samples of the page, and again, I have a handy-dandy magnifying glass with light for us old people, and it looks good. And again, this is one I would recommend because I'm rich and I can buy anything I want. On page 274. I have got to go back to see if I ordered this because I thought I did. Dose out of It's Alive. That's the name of the publisher. Dose is a unique reinterpretation of the superhero genre, which explores what would happen to society if the technology and superhero population introduced in the Silver Age of comics grew exponentially through today. Issue 1's being reoffered. Issue 2's being offered right above it. And I think I have number 1. I haven't read it yet. But if I do, I'm definitely going to get number 2. If I don't, here's your chance to get both. You see how giving these guys are?
And way in the back, in the manga section, page 363, they are reprinting Mermaid Saga, which is another series by Rumiko Takahashi, who is the one manga artist who I buy everything her studio makes. Mermaid Saga is a horror series. Doesn't sound like one, does it?
I don't know. That first sentence kind of got me.
Yuta became immortal when she unwittingly ate mermaid's flesh, and now he seeks a way to become human again. Hundreds of years later, he encounters a volatile and determined lady named Mana while searching for a mermaid. Could this mysterious woman hold the key to saving Yuta's humanity? This is a fantastic book. Very different from Takahashi's other stuff, which is usually kind of a sitcom-y type thing. If you've read Ranma One Half or Maison Ikkoku or Yurisi Yatsura, you know that she sets up these sitcom type things that are light romance, comedy with a lot of weird, funny characters. This is very serious, very dark. I remember when I first read it, it was like, whoa, this is not what I was expecting at all, when it's Rumiko Takahashi's Mermaid Saga. But if you like horror, Japanese horror is very different from American horror, if you've seen The Ring or The Grudge or things like that. But this is really, really well done. Another volume of Urusei Yatsura comes out, and for me, that was it. I was also really upset that if you go to the apparel, there's 3 pages of apparel and that's it. No hats, just a couple of shirts. No jackets, no nothing.
Well, Cory, as long as you're making me flip my book over, I'll have you go to page 39.
This is in the toys and other stuff,
Yep,
right?
yep. Flip it over, baby. Don't make me flip you off. There
This
on the
is where
bottom.
they have all the Funkos.
Well, I'm more interested in the Mego. There's a Stan Lee 8-inch figure. $14.99. I have no idea how widespread this will be. Check with your comic store, because a lot of this stuff in this section, if you see, has been previously solicited. They already had a chance to order it, because this is stuff that, they ordered probably a month ago. They just got in the previews catalog. So if you want it, they can still place an order for it, because it's coming from overseas. It's going to take a while to get. And Cory, I know you're a practical joker. So go to page 70. And here's a way to delight your friends, confuse your enemies, and create mass panic. Yes, for a mere $124.99, you can own your own Japanese giant hornet PVC. It measures around 7 inches in length, comes with a display stand. Maybe just glue it to a tree. Don't put it on a. But yes, if you want a murder hornet,
to work.
It has moving antennas, a hidden stinger, movable wings, sorted legs. Yes, you be the life of the party, amuse your friends for hours, confuse your enemies with your Rovagio Japanese giant killer hornet PVC figure. Available only in U.S., Canada, and U.S. territories.
Aw.
I know. I wonder sometimes if what I like to do in the toy stuff, other than look for things that are kind of fun, is imagine what would I buy if I still had a store going. And 124. But one thing I've noticed is a lot of the plastic and PVC figures have really jumped in price. I don't know if that's because of oil. I don't know if it's because of imports. I mean, figures that used to be $400 or $300 are now $400. Figures that were $100 are now, whatever. So again, for $125, that's a lot, but there's still some good stuff. We're talking aliens before. We're back on page 77. You can get an Alien Covenant Xenomorph 1/18th scale figure, or down below it, the Blue Alien Warrior figure. So yeah, it's fun just to kind of go through and imagine what kind of things I get. And occasionally I do see something I buy. Like I said, the Stan Lee one is one that I definitely will be picking up. And that's it for me.
Let's see. That was it for me too. One of the things that I always look at are the Funko Pops. I don't buy them very often, but I will look at them every time now, because I missed out on the Baby Metal Funko Pops about a year ago, and the Rush Funko Pops. And they are both now going for scary huge amounts of money. The Baby Metal are like $100 each. It's like, I like that sort of thing, but not that much. You know who doesn't overcharge you for things, Joe?
Well, boy, the gas has been pretty cheap. Is it the gas people?
No, it's these guys, our sponsors. Believe it or not, kids, this here podcast has sponsors. And that sponsor, since day one, is DreamHost.com. DreamHost.com is the best, bar none, web host in the whole known universe. And if you need a website, head on over to DreamHost.com, put in code CRAYZ, that's KRAYZ, and get $20 off your first year. Now, if you would like to advertise here on any of the Solitaire Rose Network podcasts, you can. Just email me at solitairerosenetwork@gmail.com, subject advertising. Also, head on over to eBay and look for user Crazy, Krayz. That's Joe Crazy Writer, who's always telling us about the eBay in every episode of Crazy Comics and Stories. If you would like to contact us, you can do so. You can give us a call at 952-856-0519. Leave a message and we'll play it on the show. Or you can send us an email at solitairerosenetwork@gmail.com. Thanks. And I keep myself very busy. We we're now about 2 months away from the next AEW pay-per-view. It's not like WWE where they have a pay-per-view every few weeks. No, AEW just does 4 a year. So, but they do a new episode of AEW Dynamite every week that over on PWInsiderElite.com, which you should be a member of. I do the play-by-play and then break down the show afterward as to what worked, what didn't. Do that with my new pal Anthony Pyrus. And now we get to Joe's favorite part of the show. No, not where he eats all the sugar from the bag of mini donuts he had yesterday.
Mini donuts. I thought I get to blow some milk bubbles.
Oh my! I think there was like a half a cup of sugar at the bottom of my bag when I got done.
Yeah, I gave that to my wife later.
Oh, you gave her the half cup of sugar?
Yep, she's sweet. I gave her the sugar. Show me some sugar, baby.
Well, if she's sweet, why does she need? Never mind.
Oh,
No, Joe, what's going on the eBays?
All sorts of fun stuff. Even while we were out geeking, I ended up with 11 sales in like a 24-hour period. So things are definitely picking up. And I've had a few people make offers. A couple. The one thing I did have an exchange with someone. They're like, "Would you take this for this?" And I said, "Well, no, because I include shipping and it's pretty much above cost, anyways. Not much above cost." He goes, "Oh, okay. I just thought on your show you said." And I sent an email back. Wait a minute. If you tell me you're on the show, you listen to this here podcast. Hey, you're in like Flynn. I sent him the deal and sold him something at 50% off. So that's how it works. If you see something you like, just send me a note. You get to the page. Matter of fact, and usually what it is when you're on an eBay listing, they always have it, seller information, contact seller. Just contact me, and right away I'll know what the item is you're looking at, and just say, hey, I listened to the store. Well, what kind of deal can you give me? And then I can reply with an offer. And I've done that a lot. I don't know if there are any listeners to the store except for that one, or I should say listeners to the podcast. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's always fun to come back and see what kind of things sell, because sometimes you're scratching your head going, really? How the heck did that sell? But as I wait for the Kray 2000 to catch up, there we go. For example, I sold a book called Walt Disney's Treasure, Uncle Scrooge, a little something special. I've seen this one go up and down and up and down, and now it's up again, so I was able to sell it. Red Sonja, Age of Chaos, which is a current series. I lucked out and found a cosplay variant cover. Millie the Model from 1968, number 165. That was when they were doing the Archie shtick. Years ago, my mom brought home a box of comics, and they had the Millie the Models in them before they went all Archie.
Yeah, when Stan was treating it like a soap opera.
And I read them because it was Marvel, and I recognized Stan Lee's name. And I also, at this time, I was reading Defenders, and Millie was in that. So I was like, well, these are Marvel comics. Not quite the Marvel comics I like. I wish I knew where they went. They just, over time, this was BC, before collecting. So eventually they disappeared, because I don't even remember, bagging and boarding them. They must have been things I read, and then they just disappeared.
One thing I want to point out with those books, by the way, Joe, one of the things that when people get into the argument of Stan versus Jack, who did what?
Oh, please.
I always bring up the fact that the superhero stuff and the unrequited love always was brought in by Stan, because if you look at his previous writing, he made his bones on the humor books and the soap opera books. Those were his favorite to write. So when the superheroes took over, he brought that soap opera stuff in, and he also brought that corny dad humor that he put in his humor books. So no matter what else people say, you can always point to those two things as things that Stan put in the books. And I remember our pal Brian Wilson talked about when he reread his Spider-Man, he would skip over the superhero stuff because he wanted to read about, Peter
Yeah.
Parker and Mary
Gwen
Jane and Gwen
Stacy. Yeah.
Stacy
Yep.
and Flash Thompson and all that. That was the stuff that Stan brought to the table, no matter what anybody says.
Yeah. And I remember that when Pat Gruber borrowed me his beloved Spider-Man, not the Ditko stuff he had, because I had those in those trade paperbacks. And I remember he didn't have a complete run, but I remember just following along on the soap opera parts, And of course, I already knew Gwen was going to die, so it was kind of interesting to see how they got there. I sold a run of Cross, the Dark Horse Andrew Voss.
Vachos. Fantastic book, Vachos.
I don't
read his novels too.
I have a few of his novels. I don't have the Cross graphic novel, but I had 2 runs of the miniseries from 1995, and I sold one off because I've got most of my collection in one spot, so I was able to. I love it, absolutely. Why this isn't a series somewhere, I don't know. I sold a Youngblood Strike File Gold logo flipbook. Signed by Rob Liefeld, and I'll explain where I got it from in a moment. Kingpin, number 1 through 5. This is the 3rd series that goes under Kingpin. This was the 2017, where I believe Kingpin was mayor, and he is having somebody. He's either running for mayor or he becomes mayor, and he has somebody writing a book. If I recall right, this series was trunciated and just said, okay, we're ending it at 5. Because when I started buying it, I believe I was in Las Vegas at the time, and I thought, I'll pick this up, an ongoing series, and all of a sudden, over with. Another set, my final set, of World's Finest 1 through 3 from 1990 by Dave Gibbons and Steve Rude. So the only one left is my own personal one. I had a copy of Ant-Man and the Wasp. I picked this up from Dynamic Forces. It had a sketch cover with Ken. I think his name is Hauser, Haeser. He's the big guy that works for Dynamic Forces that write. When you see it's a sketch cover, 9 times out of 10 he's done it. So, and I picked this up, no idea where. I made an offer, and I did it. Some other stuff, Lassie number 30 from 1956, only in good shape, but I didn't sell it. Death's Head number 1, the Marvel UK 1988. Lady Death Masters, the Mike Chrome Premier Edition. This is one of those that I picked up when you do the Kickstarter through Coffin, Lady Death. Oh man, they make so much with the Kickstarters that they just are so generous with the goodies. And even if you just buy the basic $26 book, you can get tons of fun stuff. And occasionally I get a book like this, which is, if I recall, was like a pinup book, and I was like, well, pretty, but not my forte. So I just eBay it. Always the cheapest price there. The last book I'll mention, last 2 I'll mention. Cory, remember Galactica, Daughter of Galactus? By Adam Warren? Yep. Still going for $30. Go figure. I for some reason I had a couple copies, and this is my last one gone. Green Hornet is currently running through Dynamite. And their 2020 series, I believe, is volume 3. I found the Virgin black and white variant cover sitting on a shelf. Sold it. And the last thing sold I'll mention is the Avenger X-Men Maximum Security graphic novel from 2010. I don't know where I bought it. I read it. It was okay. That was one of those, like I said, it needs a beginning book to tell me, okay, Cyclops is dead and Professor Xavier's running around with mutant Skrulls. I have no idea what happened to the mutant Skrulls. But the storyline was all the races decided to dump their crap on Earth and then cordon it off. And if they ever get X-Men up and running at Marvel Universe, and they will, this could be a storyline we might see. I better shut up. We keep giving away $1 million ideas. You can get $1 million idea just by going to my eBay store. Crazy, Krayz, crazy. It's crazy, I'm telling you. You see something you like, I already told you how to get a hold of me. I'll get you a deal because you are a valued listener of this here National Treasure podcast. And we like to share some of the fun. As I always say, Come get some.
And now we get to my favorite part of the show. No, not where I leave the potato salad out all night so I could get a couple of days off.
That's how McDonald's makes special sauce.
No, it's Freaking and Geeking Joe. What are you freaking on?
Got my work schedule.
And?
I got the same days off, so we'll still be able to deliver this podcast in loving fashion like we normally do. So I got Sunday, Monday, Tuesday off. I'm going to Checkpoint, which is a bit of a pisser. I'm not as angry about it as I was. I don't think I really was as angry as I was on the podcast. But boy, I was plenty PO'd because it's ridiculous. After 18 years, this is my 19th year with TSA, that suddenly I've got to go back to Checkpoint and relearn everything that I haven't used in 5 years. I'm not looking forward to the training. I'm not looking forward to getting – actually, I'm looking forward to getting there because I was able to get over to Terminal 2. If you know your Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport, we got two terminals. The big one, Terminal 1, and the smaller one, which is Terminal 2. Sun Country, Southwest. I believe they're the only two that fly out of there. JetBlue pulled out. Iceland Air, there's a couple of Condor. They're not flying. We don't have any international flights flying into Minneapolis-St. Paul, which is one of the reasons why a lot of us from Checkpoint are going, or baggage are going to Checkpoint, because you just don't, there's nothing happening. And with the bloodletting going on at the major airlines, I mean, they're shedding people by the thousands, if not tens of thousands of people. Folks, this pandemic has really effed up the agencies and the airlines flying. It's not going to get better. Everybody forgets in 1918, the pandemic wasn't over until sometime in 1919. And that was before vaccines were around. It just burned itself out. The economy didn't recover till the mid-20s, the roaring 20s. So, yeah, anybody telling you, I will take care of this and it's all going to be better, bullshit. It ain't going to happen. History has shown it's not going to happen, and there's no way it's going to happen now. I am mildly pleased and amazed that, as far as I know, no comic stores in the Twin Cities closed. Knock on fake table again. I know a few are hurting. There's been a couple GoFundMes, and I feel good because I know I've spent about $2,000 both before the shutdown and after the shutdown. I haven't really blown out a lot of money to try to help my local comic stores. Not only that, but other businesses and restaurants in town, because they're going through a bloodletting too. And unless you think I'm full of bullshit, well, we'll talk about that when I get to geeking. Cory, what you freaking on?
I don't have a lot that I'm freaking on. However, work-wise, all of a sudden Thursday afternoon, I get this notice, hey, you have a training tomorrow in the morning. Oh, okay, what's it on? And it's on a client that right now we just take very limited calls on. And it's, oh, you're going to be trained to take mainline calls. Now, this is a massive client. This client has 600,000 employees. And I have been telling my supervisors that, hey, you know, these reports and stuff that you're asking me to do, I don't have time to do them. I'm getting maybe an hour to an hour and a half a day out of the 8 hours, and that's all the time between calls. So if I get 3 minutes between a call, that's added to that time. So plus my 2 15-minute breaks are added to that time. So really, let's say I get an hour and a half where they can look and see, oh, that's 90 minutes you were on the phone. However, 30 minutes of that was my break. Let's say I took 50 calls. 2 minutes after each call is time for me to wrap everything up. So at that point, I don't have any time between calls, and I'm not even using my 2 minutes between calls. And they've put me on a client with 600,000 employees because, well, they're really, really busy and they need our help. And I basically, after that, they put me on it. It's funny how my training was that morning, and when I came back from lunch, you're taking calls already. I didn't have the rights to create any cases so that things could be researched and worked on by the tech people behind the scenes. I didn't have any information on who my supervisor was on that client, so if I have questions, well, who do I ask? Crickets.
Not the good kind like we had.
And I just send a note to my supervisor saying, you're going to need to find somebody else to take over my reports. I literally will not be able to do them. Plus, we're about to go into open enrollment, and I'm already half my day is on this client, and now they've put me on the main phone line. So 75 to 80% of my day is going to be on that, as my 4 other clients are about to hit their busiest time of the year. I was so mad all afternoon. Not only was this all, but did my supervisor tell me? No. Did they let me know ahead of time? Nope. It's, you've got training tomorrow morning, and in the training, all the people in the training were like, why were we put on this? We're already over busy. Well, we think you can handle this stuff really well because you've done really good on the stuff that you've done, and blah, 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 blah. And the guy kept saying during the training, and you could study this on your downtime between calls, until finally, thankfully, it wasn't me. One woman said, I haven't had downtime between my calls since March. So, work has become really stressful. And going into open enrollment, I don't know what they're going to do. I almost think that, if you're going to put me on this client, just pull me off all my other clients, because I'm not going to be able to do anything on them anyway. Joe, what are you geeking on?
I must have some pent up need in me to just continue to. I'm not reading the comics I got, but God, I'm buying them like crazy. Oh, it started out. I went down to our good buddy at Cedar Cliff, Steve Brown, the man of renown, who's always got a frown, even though he's never down. And I dropped.
And he's always around.
Not always, because I did tell him that we stopped by when the week that everybody opened. They said you weren't actually here, but we did stop in. And I got there, and he's got a ton of cheap Marvel trade paperbacks, and I took stock on them. I didn't buy any. I did end up buying a bunch of, again, that aforementioned Youngblood Strike File, gold logo, flip book signed by Rob Liefeld. Got one. So that's where that went on eBay, and the one I got's a little bit better signature. So I got a bunch of stuff like that. I picked up some weird things. And on top of that, and then I went to the source. And I picked up another, $30, $40 worth of stuff there to read. Some variant covers, some just things to read. I picked up a book. It's actually on eBay now. It's Wonder Twins #1, signed by... I forget who it's signed by, but Kelly was like, oh, yeah, I'm never going to sell that. We made a mistake. We ordered Wonder Twins #1. We got the signed version. We basically put it at our cost. And I said, you know what?
Mark Russell does great work, man. You're going to love it.
That's who signed it. I can't open it, though, because it's sealed. Ooh. But I got one with his autograph. And you know it on eBay. If you want to undercut me, kill my heart, you go ahead and do it. But I just bought it because I figure if it's still here, I might give it to Kelly as a Christmas gift. Otherwise, I'm just gonna, I sell it on eBay, so no biggie. So I went to Cedar Cliff, I went to Source. Then I emailed Cory and said, Cory, he's got a bunch of trades, and I'm going back to get some. And I got them right here. The big 3 I picked up, other than a bunch more comic books. Monster of Frankenstein for $7.99. This is the one that takes Marvel and they take Frankenstein, put him in the 1970 comic series, and this is all in color because it was, Frankenstein 1 through 18 from 73, Giant Sized Werewolf, Marvel Team Up, a couple issues there, plus materials for Monsters Unleashed. I love series like this because okay, there's some black and white in there, but
that's from the Black and White magazine.
Yeah. I am never going to go back and get these books because if I don't have, I probably have this all in one of the essentials, but to have it in this form and to read it, I don't care what the characters are. For example, the next one, The Inhumans, The Origin of the Humans by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. Again, this is Fantastic Four, 38, 36, 38, 40, 41. Going through Thor 146, 152, Not Brand Ek number 6, all the 60s stuff in glorious color, glorious Kirby. Oh, I have these in black and white, but I mean $7.99. And then for $4.99, I picked up Ant-Man by Scott Lang. This is by Scott Lang. Scott Lang Ant-Man. You see how excited I get? I'm just fumble mouthing. And this is Marvel Premiere 47, 48. It goes into Iron Man, Avengers, Marvel Team Up, Marvel 2-in-1. Again, just a fun book with all his character appearances up through, let's see, what's the latest one? I think 1974. So just fun stuff. And then, of course, I got home and I got my box day, which I have. I mean, I sort out and I make 2 piles. Piles of stuff to join up with other things, piles to immediately read, which I haven't even started. And then, of course, I got another box. This was from Heroes Initiative. I remember I was geeking about the Overstreet comic book price guide. I bought their version of 50th edition because theirs is always the one that tends to go up in value once it's sold out. But I went and paid the extra bucks and got one autographed by Kevin Nolan, who I believe did the artwork on this. Yep, right down there. Beautiful Defender artwork. And I'm looking forward to this because somewhere in here there's apparently other than the tons and tons of information, I think they have an interview with Todd McFarlane, if I'm not mistaken, because he did one of the big covers. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to reading, what's hot, what's not, and all that fun stuff. I haven't bought a cover Overstreet price guide in about 2-3 years. And so I bought mine, like I said, directly from Heroes Initiative. As I look, they have 2 left that are autographed. Otherwise, you can buy the non-autographed one. If that wasn't enough, so I hit Cedar Cliff, I hit Source, I got my comic book day. I went up to a place called Remix because I remember last week I had my training, so I had a rare Saturday off. Remix is a store up in Forest Lake, Minnesota, 255 Highway 97, Suite 3B. It's on the back side. So when you get there and you can't find them, go to the other side, take a right, you'll find them. Because of COVID, they're open Friday, Saturday, and now Sunday. Last time I went up and they weren't. I was like, I'm never going to get there. But he did add Sunday hours. I met the guy. We talked comics. He remembers me at Hot Comics. I told him where Brian Messick has opened up his store up in Menominee, K&B Collectibles, because he's been trying to get a hold of Brian for ages. Facebook.com, you can go to Remix Forest Lake and check it out. And I bought tons of stuff from him. I got the archive edition, the DC Plastic Man, Volume 1 and 2, the Jack Cole stuff. I got Batman.
That's so good.
Oh, and I had all the archives at one time, and I sold most of them off with the exception of Shazam and Supergirl, just because, again, it was a room thing. But I got the Batman Black and White, Volume 4, which I was talking about earlier, and they had the Superman Time and Time Again graphic novel. That's the one I love because he ends up going into it's the new Superman, the John Byrne one, and where he took off, but he ends up going into the past, into the future. He meets different incarnations of the Legions of Superheroes, and the Linear Men are there, Wave Riders are just a fun series. Corey, guess how much a piece I paid for all these wonderful, wonderful tomes?
$5.
You got it. $5 a piece. $5 a piece. How can you pass up Plastic Man for $5? Amazing. And I told the guy I am going to go up to his store probably this upcoming weekend and bring my comic list because he's got tons of comics, tons of records, lots of DVDs. We even talked about the Captain America one that I went up to get you, Corey, because I told him I was the one who bought that. I said I came back, picked it up because a buddy of mine was like, "Oh, I can't believe you didn't pick it up." So if you're free Sunday, Corey, I mean, and as if that wasn't enough, we talked about we were geeking. We did our geek day, and we visited not only where did we start out? My brain just shut off.
We started at the Toy Posse.
Yeah, the Minnesota Toy Posse does an open air market, and it's basically a lot of toys. I hit every comic box. I found tons of stuff. It's all sitting upstairs. I haven't even touched it yet. It's next to my box day stuff, which I opened, I drooled, but I haven't touched. What got us going, we're all sitting, getting ready to leave, and we're like, where's Cory? He's digging through boxes. Let's descend on him. And we spent like the next 20 minutes going through 50-cent boxes. Wonderful stuff from the 70s. And it was kind of like our special guest was with us. I'm not going to reveal who. And they were like, oh, I love Disney comics. And I'm like, I'm digging through Disney. Well, come on over here. Look here. And Cory's like, hey, did you ever read this? And Butch was like, I haven't read this. And I don't know. What did we drop? We must have dropped like $60 altogether. Maybe. I don't know. But he was pleased.
Mine was $15 exactly, because I remember I had this big stack, and he said, no, it was 13, because I had this huge stack, and he was like, yeah, well, how about $13? And I knew I had like $20 if they were 50 cents each. It's like, sure.
Mine was about the same. And I know our guest bought some, and Butch bought some, so he was really happy. And again, the only other thing I bought was a $5 copy of one of the Monkey comics, the band Monkeys from Dell, which I don't know if I have. I know I used to have some really cherry mint ones, and I ended up eBaying them just because I want to read them, but I don't want to like take a chance that I'm going to take this 60, 70, 80, 90, 2000, 50-year-old comic and destroy it accidentally. So from there, we went to a place called Video Universe, which pretty much what it was. Butch had heard of this place. We were amazed. We spent and the weird thing is, I don't think we bought any. Nobody bought anything, and Butch bitched about it the entire time. I can't believe I went to this place. DVDs, tons for sale, tons for rent. Excuse me a moment while I find
Whip
out.
this out.
Video Universe. It is in Robbinsdale, Minnesota, 4114 Lakeland Avenue. It's Robbinsdale is also a suburb of Minneapolis, so it's a little confusing. Tons of videos to rent, weird, obscure things. They have a Gruber section, and we were there. We could have spent the rest of the day there, and Butch was amazed. He left and never bought anything. And we all wish we had this place closer to us, because they rent stuff, and I could just start at the age and rent different movies every night and just check it out. So again, if you have the ability to help these guys out, Video Universe and Robin Center. We of course had problems because Batman was a little bit off on our direction getting us there. Oh, not going to tell you anymore. You're going to have to wait till we drop the fill-in episode. From there, we went up to Outpost 2000. And again, let me, they moved from where they used to be, from where I remember this. So now it's Outpost 2000 and beyond in Blaine. 724 County Highway 10 in Blaine. Lots of games. A huge section of comics. I think they were doing $1.50 for their comics.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a mishmash of whatever, hodgepodge. I saw a couple interesting books there, a couple Golden Age Superman. From there, we went down to the Blue Soda Shop. We also took a run to Barnes & Noble. And after that, north to Granite City. And Tim was gracious.
I forgot one of my freakings.
Oh, what was that?
Books Revisited was not open when we went there.
No, we were kind of disappointed, and that's been a theme in our geeking, because even with the schedule I got, I'm only going to be able to do full day geeks on Sunday, and there's at least 4 or 5 comic shops that are closed on Sunday. And like I said, I probably dropped about $100 a piece almost everywhere except like Outpost 2000, because I got to go back when I'm in a digging mood. So yeah, some of you guys, you might want to rethink this being closed on Sunday thing. I understand. Remember, I had a small shop, Crazy Comics. I stayed closed Monday, Tuesday, because those seem to be the 2 days that most people, even when I had my hot comics and I stayed open 7 days a week, those were the 2 days where sales were less. And again, on Tuesday, we had things to do to prep work. But anyways, that's a kind of a sneak peek of the places we stopped. And again, I've got the urge to go out again, but tomorrow I'm going to wade through all my stuff that I bought, and I'm going to figure out which items I stupidly bought duplicates of, because what will I do with it, Cory?
Sell it on eBay.
Damn straight. And I believe me, I've got like 3-4 long boxes of stuff that just didn't make the cut of things I'm going to keep and read ad nauseum. For example, I don't have the original Superman Time and Time Again, which is why I'm happy I have the graphic novel now. So, yeah, oh man, this geek is happy, and I am. And then we just went through previews, so I get to put that in ordering tomorrow. I am so, and I got my Excelsior Stanley figures from Target. I got 2 of them.
Ooh.
Because my wife let me do that. I think I want to open one and just keep the other one till whatever. I could go on and on, but Cory is part of this here podcast, and you are, because I want to hear what you're geeking on. Cory, what you geeking on?
Last week, the Monster cereals were put out.
I know, I saw them. I gave you a picture, but I should have realized you were already on it.
Yes, I was already on it. Only 3 this year again. It's just Count Chocula, Frankenberry, and Blueberry.
At Target.
Booberry. They also have them at Cub Foods.
Good.
So that's where I got mine for this year. And I was talking to my mom after the wedding, and she was asking, well, what's the weather like? And I said, well, you can tell it's the day after Labor Day, because I went out. Oh my gosh, the number of leaves on my car. I think the tree in my yard just kind of is like, it's Labor Day's over. Good. Boom.
Time to go. Frump. Well, that was a quick autumn.
And as we were driving to St. Cloud, I saw a lot of trees were starting to change. So I did put in to take a couple days off in October before we hit open enrollment, so that I could do a scenic drive and see all the leaves changing, because I like doing that and I rarely get a chance to. But this year I should be able to get a chance to. I also had some time off in the evening over the weekend, so I got caught up on some of my TV, which always makes me feel good. And believe it or not, kids, I am a football fan now. So Thursday night, the football season started with, of course, a blowout in Kansas City. But still, they have limited people at only a few stadiums. On NBC, they were really proud of the fact that they're not pumping in any noise, whereas over at Fox, they have pretty much said, yeah, if there's no crowd, we're going to be pumping in noise. And personally, I'm okay with that. Because WWE, once they started pumping in noise for Thunderdome, the show was a lot more enjoyable. Because it's a live sporting event. And even when you watch, because when I'm at the group home, I have to watch basketball with the clients or baseball with the clients, and them playing where you can't hear anything but sneakers squeaking, it just feels wrong. Comic-wise, DC's got a Eternal Winter crossover coming in December, and it's going to be done in 1 month. And just like Empire, I like it so much better when these crossovers have a limited lifespan. Yes, I know it was cool when Secret Wars or Crisis on Infinite Earths lasted a whole year. But more and more, I just want the story to be coming out as fast as they can get it out. Because so often, because of the artist, they pick a great artist who's slow. And it's, okay. First 2 issues come out on time. 3rd issue is going to be a month late. Next issue is going to be a month and a half after that. Next issue is going to be 2 months after that. We might get the 6th issue out maybe in a year. Look at what happened with Shazam. Came out, it was a hot book by the time it was over because it had been so delayed so many times nobody cared. But their big crossover, I don't have any details about it other than it's going to be over in a month. Marvel's King of Black, or their crossover, the Venom crossover, is also going to be 2 issues a month. So I like the fact that they're going to be speeding these things up rather than having them go on and on and on and on and on and on and on.
On and on, they just keep on going.
I finished the Morbius Omnibus, and
Ooh.
that was a roller coaster because there are some stories that are really cool and some that are just god-awful terrible. And the way they kind of wrote him out was very much, it's like, yeah, Jim Shooter doesn't like vampires, so cure him and get rid of him.
Which was a fun story when it happened because it was a major event. You know, Doctor Strange was fighting Dracula and we're rushing to cure before they die.
But that's
Wasn't
not
Blade
how
part of that?
that's not how
Sure.
Morbius just, oh, I figured out a cure, I'm done.
Oh, boo.
And Marvel, it's like, we will kill all the vampires. Then as soon as Shooter's gone, it's like, we're bringing him back.
They came back. Yeah, they got better.
And then there's another series that I've been reading this weekend, Ghosted in LA, written by Sina Grace, drawn by Saban Keenan and Kathy Lee. And when I first read about it, I just saw the title. And when they described it, this girl goes to LA, with her boyfriend, who dumps her the first day they get there. And I put it off and put it off and put it off and put it off and put it off. And then I picked it up while I was doing some cleaning. It's like, I'll give it a try. It's not what I thought it was. Yes, that's what happens. But she ends up at this mansion that's been abandoned next to her college. And she finds it's inhabited by ghosts. And they decide to let her live there, but there is a secret to the ghosts and a secret to the mansion, and the book is all of that coming together. It's a young adult book because it's from Boom. It's in their Boom Box section. But man, I am starting to figure out that I really like the stuff from Boombox, although I don't want to buy it as comics because I just want to read it as a complete story. So I'm on issue 5 of it, and I really enjoy it. And it's one of those things where, it's not something I would have normally picked up. But because I was able to find it on one of our runs, this a whole bunch of them real cheap, cool. So hopefully next week I'll have read some more comics, because last week, what was it? I had we recorded on Tuesday. I had AEW on Wednesday. Then there was the football on Thursday. Friday, I got the new assignment, and then I fired up and had to get set up my new computer and wipe everything off the old computer so I could give it to Butch. So I didn't have a lot of time for reading comics. I hope that I have time for reading comics this week. Believe it or not, kids, you've listened to us blather on about funny books for, it's a previews issue, so probably 2 hours, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, 2 hours.
2 hours, yep.
And as we say every week, the comic we like the least, we still like better than the comic that you like the most. Joe?
You know what, Cory? No jokes today. I feel like dancing. Hit my music.
We done, bitches.
Oh, thank goodness.
I can always make one. Don't push me.